What if you could make your zipline safer? In fact, 50% safer if you can stop braking accidents. Braking accidents have been #1 for a decade. I started investigating these accidents back in 2015 when a zipline trolley didn't slow down and collapsed all the springs. Unfortunately, there wasn't enough springs. The patron bottomed him out and later that night had an aneurysm in her brain.
Yep.
That zipline had speed capabilities near 100 miles an hour with a runaway trolley, and this was a friction-based trolley, but the builder didn't put enough springs on. They had too much confidence in the friction-based trolley, which I understand. I mean, I sell friction-based trolleys. In fact, our 5th generation zipline trolley is what we call the RSTV. This is the solution to the problem. In fact, the standards of ASTM, the F2959 for aerial courses or aerial adventure courses or ACCT or something to that effect, F2959 recently threw out a ballot that said friction brakes and spring brakes are required on ziplines. Now granted, 6 miles per hour or greater is probably where that criteria is going to start landing. Because right now the ACCT has stated that 6 miles per hour is the magic zone that requires a standalone emergency brake, not one that somebody throws out, pulls out, or a patron does their own braking, because patron braking went away at the October conference. In fact, there was kind of a heated discussion in F2959 when I brought up the fact that we cannot rely on our patrons to stop themselves. What if they don't? The standards don't require them to stop themselves. In fact, one of the comments in this ASTM conference in Denver in 2023 was, we don't build roller coasters and tell our patrons to duck on the 4th turn to miss the chainsaw. Because they wouldn't do it. We'd be losing heads all the time. So as you look at some of these accidents, think about how a spring system could have safely slowed the zipliner, or even safer if it was properly designed. Some of these accidents, you have a participant or a staff member trying to do the braking. In the one, the staff member had a prusik knot, of all things, which is ludicrous. I've done the testing on that prusik knot. You figure nylon on steel, the coefficient of friction, and now they're going to stop a 2 or 20 mile per hour zipliner on a 4 or 5 foot platform. They would have been better off with about 6 of these, even though it would have been underrated. They might have kept that patron from slamming into the pole. And as you'll see in some of these background videos, patrons slam into poles quite often, and they get really close more often. Because the braking systems that have been on the market in the last 10 years haven't stopped the braking accidents. But in Park City, 2002, when I built that zipline for the resort, it had a fail-safe zipline trolley. Fail-safe meaning you have a trolley like our 5th generation that has primary brake and a secondary brake if the primary fails. What the difference is, it has 1 wheel instead of 2, like this trolley. This tandem speed pulley, Petzl has sold forever, has caused more accidents, along with the other 2-wheel trolleys that are out there on the market. And there are more manufacturers, even some from the US. They told me that this trolley travels at the rate of speed of 95% gravity. That's probably about 30 feet per second. And now you got to stop the individual. So the problem with zip lines with this type of trolley is you have to limit your weight. You can't be under 80 pounds, and you can't be over 250. Why is that? Well, my company's Momentum Engineering. We know a little bit about momentum. Momentum can be easily described if you were to take a bowling ball and a rubber kickball about the same diameter and roll them down a ramp. Which one do you think would go the farthest, roll the farthest? Which one has the most energy? Well, the most energy comes from the mass, more weight. So your 250-pound zipliner, as they're coming down, you may have done some testing and figured out that you were below 5 miles per hour, or maybe even 5 miles per hour, and you thought, I don't need a zipline emergency brake. And you were only testing with 100-pound weight. Now that 250-pound rider on a cold day is coming in at 10, 12 miles per hour. And you're out of the zone. If they get injured, you're screwed. You're going to lose. It's gross negligence, because I could come out and I could check your speeds with several devices. I mean, wearable technology like a GPS watch, or a GoPro, or something that can measure your distance. I mean, you get a camera shooting perpendicular to your cable with a bunch of lines on it, and it's maybe a high-speed camera. You'll know how far that zipliner, or that zipline weight preferably, goes between frames. So if you have 20 frames per second, 50 frames per second, then you just figure out what it is per second. Because once we figure out how many feet per second they're traveling, we can find out how many miles per hour they're traveling. Now you can usually gauge this a little bit by just knowing the elevation difference between the two platforms. That'll give you kind of a zone, and most zipline owners don't understand that, nor third-party inspectors. Because I've been out on courses where they've created accidents, and the third-party inspector said, oh, you need to check your zipline speed. That's a cop-out. I mean, a speed gun, $100 on Amazon. A wearable watch, $100, and replace them annually. Most of these GPS devices and instruments have a 1-year warranty, and you'll have to check that. You'll have to look at the data on that, figure out what works for you. But I would replace them once a year, or at least have them recalibrated, depending on if it's worth it. But know your zipline speeds. That's going to get you out of that problem area. And if you have zipline speeds that are greater than 5 miles per hour, which is pretty easy to do, about 10 feet, literally you can get moving 5 miles per hour. This spring system, and I'll show you some videos in the background how easy it is to install this. This is our newest spring system. This is a spring system that should be on every zipline. I think every zipline should have an emergency brake. And I don't care if you use my springs or you use the competitor springs, whatever you do. Put an emergency brake on it. And that seems kind of counterintuitive for a zipline expert who makes money on plaintiff cases because they were injured. Now I'm stopping the injuries? Well, that's what I do. At Park City Mountain Resort, we had 0 braking related accidents to date. As long as you're changing the springs out, looking at your brake systems like you're supposed to do, and document daily. These life safety systems need to be documented daily. And I would think a brake system is a life safety system. Take a look at our products. We sell them on ZiplineBrakingSolutions.com. Call us. We want to help. We'll give you some discounts just by talking to you and hearing your stories. We want to know your stories. Thanks for watching. Keep taking a look at our videos. We're going to try and post them often. Like and subscribe. If you subscribe, you're going to probably get about 1 video a week. Some of them will be on other aerial adventure attractions, like trampoline courses that I invested in. Let's make ziplining safer. ZiplineBrakingSolutions.com, zipsafe.org. Have a great day.